Welcome to this special episode of the Goddesses of Social Work podcast. In recognition of Social Work Month, where the NASW theme for 2024 is Empowering Social Workers, Inspiring Action, Leading Change. On today's episode, we welcome Kelli Hanna, LMSW. Kelli obtained her bachelor's degree from Jacksonville State University in 1998. She then obtained her master's degree from Tulane University in January of 2021. She worked at a nursing home, then decided to step out of her comfort zone with the help of her social work community, the Goddesses of Social Work in Supervision, and began travel social work. She has worked at Julius Hutweiler and is now at Sandstone Detox and Treatment Facility in Virginia. Welcome to the show, Kelli.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Kelli, the motivation behind this year's theme, proposed by the NASW, Empowering Social Workers, Inspiring Action, Leading Change, states that social workers need support to meet the high demand for their vital work that should get higher pay. What has been your experience, Kelli, with the salary gap within the social work profession? Have you had any experience having to negotiate your salary? And if so, or not, what advice can you give other social workers who may be struggling with salary negotiation?
Yeah, I have done that before. When I was in a bachelor's situation, when I had my bachelor's degree, I always changed jobs, but I try to go for jobs that had more pay. And then now that since I've got my master's degree, I was working at a nursing home. They hired me on the day I got my license. So I thought that, that I would eventually get paid for my master's degree. But as I worked, I was realizing I wasn't getting enough pay. So I went to them and I said, look, I just need to know when you're going to start paying me for my master's degree. And they informed me then that they didn't need me for the master's degree. They only need a bachelor's degree. And that's when I was like, oh, this is, and y'all encouraged me, especially you, said, oh, no, you shouldn't be getting paid for that. You need to get more pay. So that's when I started talking to the girls in the supervision group, and they were doing the travel social work. And I thought about that. And that's how I got into this travel social work. And you get paid really well with that. But I also have realized, I guess, getting more wisdom as I get older, that if you do take a decrease in pay, it needs to be because you are changing to something that's less stressful or less work. You don't need to like take a pay decrease and have the same stress and the same problems. It's good if you do that. If like sometimes you need a break from the stress and things. And it is good to take if you have to take a decrease in pay for a little while to get that. But I always think it's good, like you say, to just keep moving. You don't have to stay at a job. I've been telling everybody that, and even in my group situation now, that you don't need to stay at a job. If for 16 years, like I did, you can move and try different things. So that's what I'm doing now. Yeah.
And you're having fun, and you're having fun. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Kelli, were you scared when you went to the nursing home that you were working with, thinking you were going to get the increase in pay because you had your master's? Were you scared to go to administration and talk to them about that?
Not really, because I knew I wasn't making enough to hardly pay my bills, and so it was kind of a thing of like, I've got to do something. I can't keep making this pay. I need to either get an increase or I need to find something else. So thankfully, my supervisor there was pretty easygoing, and I felt comfortable going to her and asking. And then, of course, she said, "I understand if you can't stay here." She was very understanding about it. She's like, "I understand you have a master's degree. You really need to use that." And I'm like, "I'm exactly that's what I've got to do." And she understood, so it was a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm glad. I love having good supervisors that understand that kind of thing. But I'm really more proud of you for after being in a situation for 16 years, being able to have the courage and the bravery to jump out on faith and move to something different. I'm wondering because I talk to a lot of social workers who are travelers these days, and I hear often that you guys are talking to your recruiters and you're having to kind of even negotiate some stuff. Have you had experience thus far in your travel experience having to negotiate not just salary, but just, location and or some of the fringe benefits that come with traveling?
Actually, I really haven't, because I get on Indeed and I look for the jobs, and then I have good recruiters because I have because of that, I have like one or like more than one. I have right now I have three that are in my phone, and they're constantly asking me where I'm at, and I'm telling them, I'm extending or I'm not extending, and they're constantly sending me jobs. There's one company that sends me a job every day, just to see if I want it or whatever. So I haven't had that issue yet. The only thing I've had to like kind of negotiate, I guess, is because I mean pay's been all right and location is that. I was telling them, look, 'cause I do have dogs and I take them with me. So I've been trying to have places that are close enough that I can drive. So I'm like right now I'm only 11 hours away from my actual home and I was able to drive that. So that's one of the only things I kinda negotiate, is trying to make sure I have my dogs with me.
I love that. Yes,
Mhm.
our fur babies are very, very, very important. Before I move away from the salary gap conversation, I do know part of your social work journey, as far as the travel, was one of your first assignments as a traveler. They did ask you to extend. And I even feel like they were trying to pressure you a little bit in that first location to
Yeah.
extend a bit. Can you talk about how you were able to stand on your square, knowing what was best for you when someone is kind of pressuring you to stay on?
Right. I did the first 13 weeks with that job, and then they come back and wanted me to do an extra 8, and I said, "Okay." And then they come back and said, "Well, we want you to do the 8 and then to do another 6." And I said, "Well, let me think about it." And then when I was getting through with the 8, they were like, "Oh, you need to do the 6." And I said, "No, I'm not doing the 6." And she kept saying, "Well, I kinda already told them you would." I said, "I never said I would. I said I would think about it." And I said, I didn't sign anything. I didn't agree with it because I didn't know how it would feel after the 8, because the 13 really like to put me on the ground because it was just so stressful and just it was hard and very tiring job. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience and what I learned from there, but once the 8 weeks was up, I was done. I was like, "Nope, I'm not doing the 6." So I told them no, and I moved on.
I love that. And you know what, Kelly? I know I said that was going to be the last question, but it's so intriguing to me because you are one of the social workers who did stay at a social work position for over a decade. And then now here you are moving about and standing on your square like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm moving on. And I'm asking, where was that shift that happened in you that after you were so loyal to an organization and now when people are asking you, you do have the guts, I even want to say the balls, to be like, "Nah, I'm not staying here. I gotta move on."
Yeah,
What was the shift for you?
I always say it's having a uterus.
Yeah, I like that better,
But
yeah.
But really, I mean, it was with you. You're the one that taught me that. You were the inspiration for that because I have always, I'm 48, so I've always had that feeling from my parents. You're supposed to stay at a job. They stayed at jobs for 35 years. Both of them did until they retired, and they were both like, you gotta like longevity, and you need to stay. And so that's what I beat myself into. And so, I always at least try to stay a year. I mean, most jobs I stayed a lot longer than that and a lot longer than I should have. And then I did the hospice for 16 years, which I enjoyed the hospice. But it got so commercialized and I wasn't feeling like I was actually helping anybody at the time when I like that's why I got my master's because it got to where I didn't feel like I was doing what I wanted to do with the people because they were cutting my time like, oh no, you don't need to go after hours when people die, let the nurse handle that. And I'm like, I'm the social worker. You're like, when somebody dies, that's when I do my best work because we're able to comfort the family. We're able to help make phone calls to people and do things and be there not only for them, but support to the nurses too. I mean, so I really hated that part that they were kind of limiting me. And then they were wanting us to do our notes in the home. And I'm like, I'm not getting that one-on-one I can do with these people. So it was enough. It was just enough. And that's when I decided to get my master's. And that's one thing I wanted to say too is like I was 45 when I got my master's degree. So don't ever feel like you're too old to change or too old to get a degree because I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I was smart enough. I kept saying, "Oh my Lord, I've been out of school for so long because I got my undergrad in '98." And I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be able to do this." But I decided to do it and I was able to get it done. I enjoyed it immensely, learned so much. I learned enough from my program that I went and got my license, didn't have to study, took the test, got my license, and now I'm working. And so, like I was going back to what you were saying though, you influenced me so much because you were like, "Look, you don't have to stay at a job." And I was like, she's right, and you gave me the permission basically to say it's okay to move on. And I kind of needed that, I guess, just the permission that it's okay to do that. And so with you and everybody in the supervision class, I mean, y'all have been so supportive. That's how I ended up doing the travel, which I never thought I would do because I mean, this is my first time out of Alabama. But I'm liking it. It's a different environment, and I'm so excited about once I extended this one, and once I get done with this, I'm going somewhere else. So I'm really enjoying this. So yeah.
I love that. And I'm so glad because that was actually my next question. Like, you got your BSW the same year I got mine in 1998, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
then, but you worked in the field all those years. And then 2021, was it?
21. Yeah.
You
That's
got
when I
your,
graduated. Hmm.
yeah, well, until 2020, you went back during the pandemic.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm sorry, that was such a, but you went back during the pandemic and got your master's. And I do, a lot of social workers are like, well, I got my undergrad, I've been working in the field, but I also feel like getting that, from the BSW to the MSW,
Yeah.
that closes that salary gap as well,
Right.
right?
It
Yeah.
helped a lot because I mean, it opened up so many doors for me that weren't open because, when I first started, you didn't even have to have a degree. There was people with biology degrees working in the DHR with me, and you didn't have to have that. So they were there's people grandfathered in, and it was a different thing. You didn't even have to have a license. And so I went ahead, I got my license for my undergrad, even when I didn't even have to have it really. I just thought it was something I needed, and then, kept on going, and everybody kept saying, "Well, you should get you something else." They wanted me to go to nursing school, and I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that." So, or being a lawyer, I was like, "I don't want to do that either." So yeah, I'm glad I got my master's. It helps. I think I'll not just the money wise, but the knowledge wise, and what I learned. And it taught me, I think, to be a better social worker. And as I keep doing these jobs, I'm learning more and more. So you're always going to be open to learn. I think that's always a good thing to have is, the ability to learn. We all can learn new tricks. So I think I'm really enjoying that. I'm getting, new environments, new jobs. Like right now I'm doing group. I've never done group before. And I really like it. Every group's different. So I'm learning even with different groups. So I'm really enjoying this, and hopefully I'm excited about whatever I'm going to do next. I don't know what it is yet, but once I leave here, I'm excited.
We hope it's the Bahamas.
Ooh, that would be awesome. I did see a
Yes.
job for Alaska and Hawaii. I was like,
Oh,
ooh,
yeah, Alaska. I like that
yeah.
idea. Yes.
Hmm.
Kelly, as the NASW, well, the NASW shared in its press release and proclamation for Social Work Month that social work is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States and that we are on the front line for some of the toughest crises this nation has faced. Can
Right.
you give me an example or examples of your frontline experience? And as this profession is growing, what advice would you give social workers entering the field over the next few years?
Well, the frontline thing I think is I worked at DHR and foster care for a while. That is just, the stigma is there that, we take everybody's children. And I don't want your children. That's what I would tell them. I'm like, I don't want your kid. I really don't. I want you to get better so you can take care of your own child. So there's that. And then of course hospice, being that it is everybody's like, that's gotta be so sad. And it really is, but it's not different than when your dad dies than it is with somebody you've met and you've been with for a couple of months. I mean, you still love them, you care about them, but it's not the same as your own family. So you can actually get through that. And then I did the prison system, like it's what I did before, and oh, that is a whole ball game between it and what I'm doing now and drug treatment. Those are 2 fields that have got to have some changes. The judicial system is so, like, it's just not fair. There's so many people that do not need to be in there, that need to be out, like, the drug charges are ridiculous. A lot of the other charges, like, if you're with somebody when something happens and you get 40 years, I mean, it's just doesn't make sense and the logistics of it. And all they keep wanting to do in Alabama is build more prisons. Well, that doesn't solve the problem. There's so much problems there that they need to handle. And then a lot of it's drug treatment. It's the fact that now I'm in drug treatment. It kind of correlates with the prison system because I'm seeing now these people are coming to drug treatment. Even if you have insurance, you're still having to pay a couple $1,000s to go to drug treatment. And I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, like people that are low income cannot afford this. What are they doing? Like, how are they getting help? And so it's really because they what ended up happening is they don't get help, they end up in the prison system half the time. So it's like we got to do something. And I think a lot of it is trying to figure out something with the drug treatments. We really need to get some affordable drug treatments for people with problems that they can get real help and not just well, I'm on one that's 21 days, but they need like to be able to go to a 21-day detox, get treatment, then go on to another treatment program. Sober living housing, it needs to be at least a year program for them to get on their feet. Oh, that first year is so hard, and if they had something to do from program to program for the first year, I think it would make such a huge difference, and I think it would also clear out some of the prisons. I mean, I really do. I think they would help them not be on drugs, and then they wouldn't probably go get arrested and be in prison. So yeah, so I guess that's my front line right now.
I completely agree with you. And I know we've talked about prison reform and policy
Right.
changes. And as you continue, like you said, to learn and grow, I see you on the front line of policy change. I
I
think
hope
that's where
so. I
you're
mean,
headed. Yeah.
yeah, because I would love to be able to help with that because
Yeah.
I don't know if they're not thinking right. Well, they just no good sense, as my mom would say. But it doesn't make sense, and it's so obvious it doesn't make sense, I mean, and it's just I don't know who's whispering in the ears of the people in the government that they're not realizing that there needs to be all these changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there needs to be some people up there. I've always said if social workers, if we have more social workers in government, things would be so much different. The world would be such a better place.
I agree completely. I
Yeah.
completely agree. Kelly, what advice would you give up and coming social workers who are in the field as this profession continues to grow so fast?
Oh, like, enjoy it. Like, really find something you're interested in and go for it. Definitely it's a great field. I've enjoyed it. I mean, I don't think I've ever regretted getting my social work degree. Um, I have enjoyed my life working as a social worker. It has fulfilled me and helped, like me helping others has really helped me. I think it's helped me become a better person. It's helped me with my empathy and being compassionate and teaching others the same thing. I just think it's a good field to be in. And there's so many openings, like, there's so many things that you can do with social work now. So yeah, definitely do that. I mean, like enjoy it and find your niche and enjoy that. And if you don't like it, move on and find something else. There's so many fields out there.
Absolutely. Social work is a big playground. I love
Right.
it. Yes, I do. Oh, Kelly, we're already to our last question. And I think we kind of touched a little bit on this, but I'm curious. You're going to be an LCSW in the next year or
Hmm.
so, the highest license
Right.
recognized by this profession. With that license comes an energy of leadership within our profession. How do you see yourself as an agent of change? And what changes would you like to see happen in social work?
Yeah, like, I think we could kind of talk about that. Like, my major thing is, like, the prison system and like, right now, the drug system, because I really do need that needs to be changed. And the 3 strike rule Alabama has, that's just I mean, that needs to go away. I mean, if you can do 2 things that are minor and then steal a bike and end up in prison for life, that's just ridiculous. There needs to be a lot of changes because especially with, the race issue, there's so many more African American people that are in prison that do not need to be there. They need to be given the same opportunities. There needs to be like more like instead of like punishment, there needs to be more like, let's try to help them out. Let give them opportunities in order for them to like do better. Like to have jobs, to have like we need to have there's the system just needs to be completely changed. We need to have job training. We need to have, you know, like like drug treatment, psychiatric treatments, one big thing, mental health so bad. Well, like the place I'm at right now, they weren't getting no mental health treatment. And then they come and they realize, well, I was using drugs because I was mentally ill. And so now we have like the doctors are there and they're giving them the right meds and trying to make sure they're and they're like, "Oh my god, I never knew I could feel this way." It's just sad. It's just a sad existence that these people have to go through life like that, and then they have to be on drugs and then come to find out that they are mentally ill and then are able to get mental health treatment. So, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things I would like to do.
And I believe that you're going to. You have a lot of energy.
Yeah,
You have a lot of energy. I was talking to someone recently who got misdiagnosed with their physical health, and
right.
getting the right diagnosis for their physical health has changed the quality of their life. So you speaking to getting the right diagnosis for their mental health can also change the quality of life. So yeah, I completely agree. Kelly, you are such a ball of wisdom. I'm so
Oh, thank
glad.
you.
I'm so glad that you decided to join us on today's episode of the Goddesses of Social Work podcast.
Mhm. I appreciate you inviting me. I had a good time. Thank you.